Hello everybody from Arlo White in the Live Broadcast Studio, and welcome to highlights of another excellent day's golf on Super Saturday in Greenbrier. Now, Live Golf history was made by this man, the high flyers Brendan Steele. This is his second shot at the par 5 17th. In it goes, the first albatross in league history, and it's Brendan Steele who is all smiles. Cam Smith teed off at 18 today. He made a par there, then proceeded to card a 27 over the front 9 holes to briefly take the lead. This was his third at 12, an eagle for Cam there, but he was overall level par through his last 8 holes and his 3 off the lead. Brooks Koepka is seeking a 5th Live Golf title. No other man has more than 3. A pair of 64s for Brooks. He's 12 under par. That was his birdie putt at 18. But today was all about Jon Rahm, who is hunting a second straight win in the Live Golf League after his first victory at the JCB in the UK, and he's also hunting down Wako Neiman for the overall title of Live Golf League champion for 2024. A remarkable round of 62 today for Jon Rahm. That was his second into 17. This is his tee shot at 18. And you wouldn't bet against Jon Rahm going back-to-back and taking a lead into the final regular season event in Chicago in 3 weeks' time, seeking a first prize of $18 million. And he rounded things off superbly with a birdie putt at the first, an 8 under par 62 today. Jon Rahm will take a 2-stroke lead into Championship Sunday. Ripper lead the team comp by 1.
Let's roll. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency, the pimps, the players, the hustlers, the people that bust them, and everybody else in between. Let's do this thing. The Wicked Wednesday has begun. We've got a lot of stuff to break down. Let's start off on the Major League Baseball diamond, the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Seattle Mariners going at it once again. Logan Gilbert on the hill for the Seattle Mariners, a Mariners team that's in a free fall right now. Meanwhile, the Los Angeles Dodgers are getting healthier by the day, at least offensively, but they do have Blackjack Flaherty on the hill here tonight going. Dodgers are pretty big favorites considering they've just won the last 2 games. They're not going to win every game that they play in, and the Mariners are sort of due for a win. But with all that being stated, do you really want to get in front of the Dodgers right now at home? And do you really feel like jumping on the Seattle Mariners? So the updated number right now, there's been a late push on the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Dodgers are up to minus 200 right now. The Seattle Mariners pay back plus 165. The total is 8 in this baseball game. And we've got quite a bit of action on this game, but I don't have a piece of the total, and I pretty much have everything else, so I think I should probably bet the under of this game. So we have the League's Cup going on tonight. The League MX MLS thing continues. The Colorado Rapids, surprisingly enough, are still playing, and the winner tonight goes to the final. They're in Los Angeles, LAFC versus the Rapids. I think LAFC will find a way to get it done. I don't think it'll be easy for them. That's why I took them to qualify in advance, and we're doing the LA two-step here tonight. Give me the Dodgers to win a baseball game and LAFC to qualify at minus 112. But Logan Gilbert's strikeout prop tonight is a strange one. And I know the Los Angeles Dodgers have smart hitters. They don't strike out a ton, but the numbers are just too good to pass up. The strikeout prop for Gilbert tonight is 5.5. And he's had 6 or more strikeouts in 7 of his last 8 starts. And one of the reasons why he gets a lot of strikeouts, he pitches pretty deep into baseball games. If you look at his track record, he can give you 7. So he's probably going to be out there for, basically 2/3 of the baseball game. I don't see why we can't get to 6 strikeouts, even if the Dodgers win this game. All right? You're telling me Will Smith can't strike out a couple of times tonight? I'm telling you we can. All right? I'm telling you, we can. So I think Gilbert can go over 5.5 strikeouts, and Flaherty's strikeout prop is 7.5. It's pretty high. All right, he's had 3 starts with the Dodgers, and he's gone over this once. So it's a pretty high number to assume that, yeah, he's going to get 8 strikeouts. That's like super ace type stuff to get 8, okay? Like Paul Skeens was checking in at 8 earlier in the year, and he's throwing 102 miles an hour. So I'm rolling the dice here. I'm playing both sides of the fence. I think the Dodgers are going to win the game, but I don't think Flaherty's going to have 8 strikeouts. I think the Dodgers are going to win the game, but I think that Gilbert could have 6 strikeouts tonight. And like I said, I parlayed the Dodgers with LAFC, but we're going to jump in on the under 8 in this Dodger game as well right now. So let me get the Dodger under bet in, and then we'll be pretty much we've got WNBA action. We posted on Twitter X right before the game started. I said I'm taking the points with the Minnesota Lynx tonight. Vegas are a little bit overrated. And I don't, they're still a really good basketball team, but they're overpriced, I should say. Not overrated. They're overrated by the odds makers and by the public, right? People see, Vegas, and Vegas are playing at home, and they're this, they're that. They've won a couple of championships in a row, and they have, but doesn't mean they're going to win the game by 8 points. And there was a late push. The number was like 5.5 earlier in the day, and it got bet up to 7 before tip-off. The total right now is 177.5. And I think it's kind of light, to be honest. And I tell you what, I have a piece of over 179.5 and 177.5. So I've got 2 in-game overplays. I like the over before the game started, and I didn't play it. And they started scoring a bunch of points early. So I was like, oh boy, I knew this game was going to be a higher scoring game than everybody thought it was. I know Minnesota's one of the better defensive teams and all this type of stuff. Well, they're hitting almost every 3 that they take. And I know the math won't add up over the course of the full basketball game, but Vegas are hitting shots as well. We've got 70 points already. So there's 5:41 left in the first half right now, in the second quarter. And we've got 70 points put up on the board. I think we're on pace to get into the mid-80s, mid-180s type of deal. Of course, sort of like the Vegas weather. All right, 191, 191, 187. And as I say that, Vegas just missed a chip shot. So we're on the over this game. We're on the Minnesota Lynx plus the points. So we've got quite a bit of late night action for you. There's been a lot of talk about the Miami Dolphins over the last couple of days due to Tua. And, anybody that thought this was breaking news, we all knew that Flores hated this guy and basically verbally abused him all the time. And it's become quite a big story with the Miami Dolphins coming into the season. But to me, the biggest story is the transformation of their head coach. I haven't seen somebody change so much since Sammy Sosa became white. Let's go to the best of X. So here's Mike McDaniel when he took over. The football nerd comes over from San Francisco. X and O's. I never been to a nightclub. Guys, you picture the type of guy that's big, drinking a big 7-Eleven, big 7-Eleven in the office, crushing pizzas, studying game tape. But it hasn't taken him long to go South Beach on us. This is currently how he rolled into the latest press conference. I gotta tell you, this is quite the look here right now. He looks like not a drug dealer, but like a drug dealer's friend. You know what I mean? Like he's like sort of like in Florida or something. There's like a big coke dealer, some local kid that grew up. He's a big coke dealer. McDaniel looks like I know the guy. I know him. Right? McDaniel's the type, he looks like the dude that was running drugs for like P. Diddy. He looks like the type of dude that was like the 15th player on on a college basketball team, but hooked everybody up on the team. But hey, great. I think he's a good football coach. Yeah. You're going a little Jesse Winkler here. We'll get to that a little bit later on. I don't know. To me, if you want to walk around like a pimp, you should win first. I'm just saying, but I say this as a Buffalo Bill fan. I'll take my guy, Sean McDermott. This guy is his blue collar as a lunch pail itself, all right? High school, you ain't gonna see McDermott rolling in like this. McDermott, high school state prep champion wrestler. All right, McDermott doesn't even like players that wear visors on the football field. He's like, you think you look pretty cool with that, huh? 43-33 for the Minnesota Lynx right now. So we'll keep our eye on this. We got Major League Baseball countdown to kickoff is on college football. It's nearly here, man. We're like 3 days away right now. We got Georgia Tech and Florida State, but I think I've spent more time thinking about Delaware State and Hawaii for whatever reason. And we should let you know that Delaware State are arriving on the islands right now in periodic installments. Right, of course, they missed their plane to get out there, and they had to, book on the fly here, so they couldn't get, the entire team on one plane. They needed 3 separate commercial planes. So you got a bunch of, big-ass kids all cramped in with tourists going to Hawaii right now. Point spread's up to 40.5. We should let you know they lost 57-0 to Army last year, and they lost 62-20 to Miami of Ohio. This is a lower-tier, poor FCS football team. We've got a lot of stuff to break down. Let's roll.
What a chance it is for Adam Paxton and Victor Tingsham to pick up their first weekly titles. Adam Paxton, well, it's been the dream debut so far for him. For Victor Tingsham, he'll feel like this is a moment, a little while coming. A place in the final up for grabs for one.
You can do it. Make that double 18 away for a place in the final.
Wesley Plaisir was beaten, knocked out by Mike Warburton in a last leg decider.
Play. That is what they are playing for. They are playing for the trophy. They are playing for the big prize pot, and they are playing for a place in the £25,000 Champions Week.
97.
There is a point you feel that reality will surely kick in for Adam Paxton. He's here on debut. He watches the Super Series almost every single week. He was happy just to be playing in a group. This could be the leg that we talk about at the end of the night as being the one that changed the final, because Adam Paxton has just gone cold at the moment.
Bang on cue.
He doesn't just get 2, he gets the lot.
Adam should take out the 16 out. If not, Mike's just behind him.
Shot on the 5th leg.
Can Paxton deliver one of the biggest moments of his career so far? He can. Double 12. What a moment that is from Adam Paxton. Mike Warburton was looking at 60 to win the match.
14.
Paxton, here's your moment. He approaches the hockey with confidence, with time, and delivers. Adam Paxton on debut. The boy, the fanboy, comes to the Super Series and wins.
This is Sports Rage. I'm Gabriel Morency. The Wicked Wednesday has begun. Ian Cameron's going to step up and in. We've got George Kurtz. We've got Paul Bovey. We've got Brady Cannon. So we've got all the bases covered. FedEx Cup playoffs have begun. A very dramatic start with Hideki Matsuyama. It was a war of attrition, but very exciting start to the FedEx Cup playoffs. Now we got a 50-player field. And these fields are as good as you're going to get. Let's bring in, speaking of good as you're going to get, let's bring in the best golf capper in the business, Brady Cannon, in the house with us. Good to see you, Brady. How you doing tonight?
Hey, great to be back. I'm so glad I missed you, or so sad that I missed you last week. And it was a winning week for both you and I. You were going to talk about Lydia Ko, and Matsuyama gets home for us. But, hey, all good things come to those who wait. So, here we are, and we can celebrate a little bit.
And we shared your picks last week, so people got a piece of it. So there's been a couple of weeks in a row in which we provided a winner. But it was a real roller coaster last week, wasn't it, as far as getting there? And listen, I've been betting on sports since like 1981, 82 type of deal. So I like to say that I've seen it all. But I will admit, I find golf to be incredibly unique sport to bet on because it's long, you need patience, you can't control. Right? Like basketball, it's like shoot the ball. Oh, it went in. It didn't go in, right? We got a first down. We didn't get a first down. Golf is so complicated. You could get an eagle, but you hear people cheering, on the other side of the course. And somebody else is doing something. So it's a war of attrition for the player to get to the finish line, but it's a war of attrition for the bettor who's following every shot as well.
There's so many different ways to bet golf. I was actually talking about this earlier today, Gabe. I think, and you mentioned 1981, obviously that's a long time ago. I would say certainly in the last 20 years, and maybe you go 30 years, I think no other sport has grown more in the betting space than golf. I mean, absolutely in the last 20 years. I probably started betting golf on a regular basis in the neighborhood of 20 to 25 years ago. 25 years ago is when I first kind of started to jump in, betting a little future bet here and there on the majors, and obviously not long after that, I was head first. And then you had COVID as kind of, injecting a second wind into golf when there was nothing else to bet on except for, Russian table tennis and UFC and golf. And at that time, even more people jumped in. And yeah, there's so many different ways to bet it. There's so many different players in the field, 150 things going on at one time and all those players doing, and then the sweat. The Hideki Matsuyama leads by 5 with 7 holes to go. And for a second, he didn't have the lead and then he got it back. What a roller coaster. I think that took a year off my life, at least last Sunday.
I don't think a lot of people, some casual sport fan would understand exactly how big golf betting has become. And I'll tell you, Brady, I think also, as you mentioned, last 20 years or so, but I would say about 10 years ago or so, and with the influx of fantasy sports, and I know, SportsGrid used to be the fantasy sports network, and working with Pat Mayo, he made his bread and butter off his DFS stuff. And I used to see the actual data, Brady, and it was like, NFL, golf. Like DFS, people putting the teams together, trying to hit that big play. And then, of course, the DFS world, and that's why a couple of these books got off and running ahead of everybody because they had the database of the customers already, right? And I think that sort of catapulted it. But, golf betting became like one of the top 4 type of deals, like bigger than the NHL. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a heavyweight, It's a heavyweight thing in the betting industry, guys, the golf world. And you wouldn't figure it because people don't think of golf as being hip and stuff, but a lot of young people do bet on golf.
And I think it is so entertaining to bet. Our colleague and friend Keith Stewart, who comes on with Carver and Pharrell.
Well, this guy picks winners all the time, too, huh?
He's really good. He's really good.
He had Lydia Ko, too. I swear I didn't steal it from him. I was patting myself on the back, and I saw he had it, too. All right, I wasn't alone.
and it's not uncommon for him to hit 2 winners in 1 week. He'll have so-and-so on the PGA Tour, and he's got so-and-so on the LPGA Tour. No, he is very, very good. But, yeah, he likes to call it a 4-day lottery ticket. You're sitting there, and you got a 50-1 shot. I had Hideki Matsuyama at 28-1. It's not many sports. You can't bet a baseball game or a football game. You can't bet too many sports over the course of 4 days. Most sports, you're betting a ticket like that, it's over 4 months. You can't bet a sport over 4 days where you can cash a ticket like that. So it's very, very entertaining. I think you make a great point about daily fantasy. It was legal here in Nevada for a heartbeat. In 2015, I cashed a nice payday at the PGA Championship at Whistling Straits when Jason Day won. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is fun. And then like a week later, Nevada pulled the plug, and we haven't had fantasy ever since.
I was going to ask you about that, actually, because I know you've been in Nevada for a while, and they basically blocked DFS in the state of Nevada. For people who are unaware of this, you can't even buy a lottery ticket in Nevada.
No. You got to go to Prim and wait in line there at the state line in California.
I love that. State line sportsbook. Love that.
Yep.
It's like there's the classic state line, but it goes to show the power of the casino. I'll tell you that. So Scotty Scheffler is one of these massively overpriced favorites once again, guys. Looking at a plus 350. Xander Schauffele 6-1, Rory 14, Morikawa 14, Patrick Cantlay 16. Hideki, let me ask you about Hideki. So he won last week. What are your thoughts on him this week? Is he just sort of, all right, we move on from him now? Sort of like you can't rob the same bank 2 days in a row.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It is a phenomenon that we've kind of seen in these playoffs, though. We saw it with Billy Horschel in 2014 when he won. Yeah, we saw it last year with Hovland. We saw it with Bryson DeChambeau. Sometimes a guy, we saw it with, who was Lucas Glover? Sometimes a guy wins a couple in a row. I don't expect it's going to be Hideki this time around because I don't think this golf course is the perfect fit for him.
All right, we'll hit this on the other side. This is Mile High style.
What a chance it is for Adam Paxton and Victor Tingstrom to pick up their first weekly titles. Adam Paxton, well, it's been the dream debut so far for him. For Victor Tingstrom, he'll feel like this is a moment, a little while coming. A place in the final up for grabs for one.
You can do it. Make that double 18 away for a place in the final.
Wesley Plaisir was beaten, knocked out by Mike Warburton in a last leg decider.
That is what they are playing for. They are playing for the trophy. They are playing for the big prize pot, and they are playing for a place in the £25,000 Champions Week.
97.
There is a point you feel that reality will surely kick in for Adam Paxton. He's here on debut. He watches the Super Series almost every single week. He was happy just to be playing in a group. This could be the leg that we talk about at the end of the night as being the one that changed the final, because Adam Paxton has just gone cold at the moment.
Bang on cue.
He doesn't just get two, he gets the lot.
Adam should take out the 16 out. If not, Mike's just behind him.
Shot on the fifth leg.
Can Paxton deliver one of the biggest moments of his career so far? He can. Double 12. What a moment that is from Adam Paxton. Mike Warburton was looking at 60 to win the match.
14.
Paxton, here's your moment. He approaches the jockey with confidence, with time, and delivers. Adam Paxton on debut. The boy, the fanboy, comes to the Super Series and wins.
Shout out to our guy, Matthew George. He used to do the Monday night rage with us, works some other shifts, does serious stuff as well. But he's a big golf fan, big golf bettor, and he loves these segments. So shout out to him tuning in. You know he likes it if he works here and he's still tuning in right now. Right? And, yeah, so he always says, normally he sends picks. He's in our chat right now, actually, on X. See if he's got any picks here, but he's a big fan of the segment on Wednesday nights. So, Brady, let's get down to business. So we've got an 8,000, plus yard golf course here, but we should note it's like 6,000 feet above sea level, right? This is like the altitude is really going to carry this ball. So how does this affect this? Are guys just going to be getting to the green basically on like 2 shots all the time?
Well, here's the way it breaks down. First of all, it's over 8,100 yards, and it's at 6,300 feet in elevation. So what it's going to play like when you account for the thin air and the way the golf ball is going to fly and all that type of thing, it's really going to play more like about a 7,500 yard course. And being a par 72, the length is actually pretty standard. You're going to bomb the ball off the tee. You know, guys have been hitting it 400 yards off the tee. You're going to have a lot of approach shots into these greens from 200 yards or greater. So there's going to have to be a lot of adjustment to be made. Like, you know, a guy normally hitting a 225 yard shot into a green might be hitting, you know, a 5-iron or something. Now he's going to be hitting a 7-iron. So I think there's a big part to that. And these practice rounds that they've been playing in getting those yardages dialed in, I think off the tee play is really going to be important. And I looked at total driving this week. Guys that hit it long and straight. Total driving is a combination of accuracy and distance. And I think you're going to have to be really good at both. Obviously, distance always gives you an advantage. But if you're still struggling with the adjustment a little bit this week and you're missing fairways, you're going to be in trouble. This rough is pretty thick. So you got to be straight off the tee. You got to know the adjustment distance. And if you can bang it and keep it in the fairway, that's an advantage. Then you get these approach shots that are, 200 yards.
We'll
be able to
hold on,
adjust.
Brady. We'll reset. Just reset. We'll reset. We'll reset with Brady here in a second. As you can see, we're getting a little bit backed up. But a couple of players I'm looking at here, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Brady thinks. I think Tommy Fleetwood. Tommy Fleetwood's been knocking on the door, got the silver medal at the Olympics, and we're sort of seeing a little bit of a momentum. Some of these guys that played well at the Olympics didn't necessarily win a medal, or even like in Fleetwood's case he did. But I like sort of, the positivity coming here. Victor Hovland's another one, right? But Hovland didn't have it earlier in the year. Hovland's back on his game right now, but we got Brady back. And you were talking, Brady, about how to play this course. What's the deal with Wyndham Clark? Because I keep on hearing people, well, he has experience in the altitude. He's got experience in the altitude. Does he have this much of an advantage in your opinion?
No, not really at all. And a lot of people have landed on Wyndham Clark, and his play has been improving. He started out the season red hot, and then he opened his mouth at the Masters, and it's kind of been downhill ever since. Now he's started to rebound and play pretty well the last few weeks. So I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm not just going to hand this guy the tournament or put my money behind him because he grew up in Colorado. And a lot of times in the world of golf, a quote unquote home game is a bad thing for a player because, oh yeah, I've been here. I know this place, and that's not always the greatest environment. So yeah, a lot of people have landed on Wyndham Clark because he grew up in Colorado. Yes, he knows the course.
The other famous one, sorry, Brady, I was getting bad flashbacks, how many bets I made. And I've even put in my handicap thinking I was smart. He actually owns a house on this golf course, and he's a member here.
He's a member here. He's a member here as the classic. He's a member here as the classic. Because the course that they play, if they ever go out there with a membership and go play, that course is probably 50% different from how they set it up for a PGA Tour event. So that doesn't always matter a whole lot either. But, people were landing on Wyndham Clark for that reason, and I wasn't going to go there. I'm just going basically more so on his current form. Like I say, it's been improving. I don't think he's the guy. I landed on 4 different guys this week that I think make sense with what I was talking about, the total driving and being able to adjust to this altitude maybe more quickly than the rest of the field.
All right, on the other side, we'll get Brady's best bets and selections for the BMW Championship. The Wicked Wednesday continues. Bring it.
What a chance it is for Adam Paxton and Victor Tingstrom to pick up their first weekly titles. Adam Paxton, well, it's been the dream debut so far for him. For Victor Tingstrom, he'll feel like this is a moment a little while coming. A place in the final up for grabs for one.
You can do it. Make that double 18 away for a place in the final.
Wesley Plaisir was beaten, knocked out by Mike Warburton in a last leg decider.
Play. That is what they are playing for. They are playing for the trophy. They are playing for the big prize pot, and they are playing for a place in the £25,000 Champions Week.
97.
There is a point you feel that reality will surely kick in for Adam Paxton. He's here on debut. He watches the Super Series almost every single week. He was happy just to be playing in a group. This could be the leg that we talk about at the end of the night as being the one that changed the final, because Adam Paxton has just gone cold at the moment.
Bang on cue.
He doesn't just get two, he gets the lot.
Adam should take up the 16 out. If not, Mike's just behind him.
Shot on the fifth leg.
Can Paxton deliver one of the biggest moments of his career so far? He can. Double 12. What a moment that is from Adam Paxton. Mike Warburton was looking at 60 to win the match. Paxton, here's your moment. He approaches the hockey with confidence, with time, and delivers. Adam Paxton on debut. The boy, the fanboy, comes to the Super Series and wins.
The Wicked Wednesday continues on the SportsGrid Radio and Television Network, Sirius XM Channel 159. Brady Cannon in the house with us. So let's get down to business and see who Brady likes, and starting off with Rory McIlroy. Your thoughts on Rory and why you like him this week?
I think the price has drifted a little bit on Mr. McIlroy, Gabe. I mean, when's the last time you saw him in a field of 50 players and he's 16-1? I mean, it's not all that uncommon where he was 10-1 in a field of 150. And I think a little bit of his is based off of what he did last week, where he finished second to last in Memphis. It's been a little bit of a roller coaster ever since he had that incredibly disappointing runner-up finish at the U.S. Open. But he's also finished top 5 twice since that debacle at Pinehurst. So I don't think he's completely off the radar here. And I happen to think this golf course is really good for him. I talked about total driving, and he is number 2. He's probably the best driver of the golf ball in the world. He's number 2 on the PGA Tour in total driving. He hits it long and he hits it straight. And if he's got that driver fired up for this golf course, I think he can tear it apart. He's done very well on Jack Nicklaus designs. He won at Valhalla in 2014, finished 12th there earlier this year for the PGA Championship. He's finished top 10 at the Memorial Jack's tournament 5 times. And he's also played very, very well in the past at elevation. If you remember the WGC Mexico? They had it bit like between 2017 and 2020. He played it at 3 times, finished top 10 all 3 times, and finished runner-up once. And that was at 7,000 feet. So I think this guy knows how to adjust with elevation. The driver is his weapon, and I think it's the best weapon to have at this golf course. So, and I think we're getting a price that's a little bit inflated off of the bad finish last week. So I'll take Rory. He also cost himself a couple of spots in the standings, which is huge. Going into next week, and you have that staggered scoring system, he was in the 3rd position, which would have put him like 4 shots behind the leader, which is probably going to be Scheffler. He dropped down to 5th. Now he's like 6 shots behind the leader. He knows he's got to get that back just to possibly save his season. So I think the course is right and the situation is right for Rory. Then I went with Ludwig Åberg, who is similar to McIlroy in the sense that total driving is a huge strength of his. I mentioned McIlroy number 2 on the PGA Tour. Åberg is number 3. Drives it incredibly long and incredibly straight. He has also had a good finish at Muirfield Village, Nicklaus's course, where he finished 5th earlier this season. And I also think we got a little bit of a break on his price because he's been in a little bit of a lull as of late. He's missed a cut. He's finished 18th. And last week in Memphis, he was 40th. So all of a sudden, he's off everybody's radar. I think that's a good time to jump in on guys when you get that number drifting a little bit.
Very nice price with Aberg right now. Big time price with Billy Horschel. So you got Billy Horschel and Justin Thomas in the same price ranges here as well. What intrigued you about these two?
Yeah, Gabe, usually when we're into kind of the normal part of the regular season and everything, I might make 6-7 selections and I'll play each of them for a top 20 finish. The top 20 finish market is not really that great this week when you've only got 50 guys. So you're paying a big price on guys like Rory and Oberg, but maybe you want to try and sprinkle them for a top 10 finish as well. And now Horschel and JT, these guys are at big enough prices where you might want to dabble in a top 20 finish market. Maybe you can get a pretty decent price. But Horschel, I've seen him out there from anywhere from like 35 to 1 all the way up to, 52 or 53 to 1. I happen to get a 51. I'm okay with something as low as 40. This is another guy who's been money on Nicklaus courses, played well at the Honda. Nicklaus designed that, out in Palm Beach Gardens. Billy Horschel's been top 15 at the Memorial 6 times, including a win in 2022. And he also just finished 8th at Valhalla at the PGA Championship. He's also played well at elevation. Oh, by the way, the last time the tour was in Colorado was 2014 for the BMW Championship at Cherry Hills. And Horschel won that event and went on to win the FedEx Cup that year. And he's been red hot for maybe the greatest year of his career. His last 3 starts have been 2nd, 7th, and 10th. So I'm just going to figure on the hot play continuing for Billy Horschel. And again, has shown that he can play at elevation and on Nicklaus designs. And the same thing for JT. I mean, when was the last time you saw Justin Thomas at better than 50 to 1 in a 50-player field? And I talked about WGC Mexico. He went there all 4 years, never did not finish top 10, and was once runner-up. Kills it at Nicklaus courses, was runner-up at the Workday at Muirfield Village, has twice finished top 10 at the Memorial, does very well at Palm Beach Gardens at the Honda, and finished runner-up at Sherwood Country Club in Thousand Oaks, California, during the COVID year when they moved the Zozo Championship to that course one year. So, that's kind of what I looked at. Guys that have done well in elevation, guys that have a history with Nicklaus courses, and guys that are in pretty good form. And I think, I think I've landed on a few guys that seem to have the skill set and check a lot of boxes that could come through this week.
You and I were part of the Xander fan club for years that kept on betting on him and betting on him and betting on him. And your patience paid off this past summer. It seems to me that there's like a Tommy Fleetwood truther club out there, right? They're just going to live and die with this guy on a weekly basis until they get rich. I wasn't part of it early, but he is freaking good, bro, right? And he's always right there. Man. He's so always right there. For, right? He just coming off the silver medal, too, and I'm looking at his number. So the two guys that just sort of catch my eye. Sorry, Brady, go on.
We got the guy that came off the bronze medal last week. Maybe it's the guy that comes off the silver this week.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I was going to say, you'll notice some of the Olympians have momentum. The guys that played well there, it's continuing. But two guys that sort of, when I'm looking at the odds and I'm sort of dismissing Xander and the guy's top of the board, but what about Tommy Fleetwood and another guy that's been playing much better golf than he was a couple of months ago, Victor Hovland? Those are my two guys I'm looking at.
Hovland, there's a couple things about Hovland, Gabe. He scares me because he's so popular this week. I know he is one of the most popular selections at BetMGM, and you know how popular selections often go. Now, that being said, there's only 50 guys in the field. Realistically, 30 of them might be the only ones that can win. So if you have a 30-player field, it doesn't matter if you're the recreational bettor or the best professional in the world. There's going to be some crossover, right? So that popularity is not just, all the masses necessarily. I'm sure there's some sharp bettors on Victor Hovland as well, because the other thing that's scary with me not being on him, he seems to flip a switch this time of the year. He was the hottest player on the planet last year. He played extremely well last week, and he shows up now and then. He was good at Valhalla. You remember
sort of what
Nicholas
you just said,
Sports.
Brady. When a guy gets hot, he's a classic example. When he heats up, he's getting hot, right?
No doubt about it. Fleetwood, I love. He's one of my favorite guys to root for. I'm starting to be convinced, and it's weird, Gabe, because the guy's won all over the world. But I saw how pleased he was with that silver medal moment, and it was awesome. But is part of you worried about this guy not having the killer instinct to want that gold and be a little bit, ticked off that he didn't go that far? And I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too much into it here, but you wonder if it might be a while. You talk about the patience with Xander. I wonder how long it's going to be before we see Tommy really kick that door down. He seems like that, perennial bridesmaid, if you will.
And this isn't a major, but it's obviously a pressure moment and a big-time tournament. That's why I'm sort of buying into your Rory pick, too. You and I talked, like Xander used to always be good in the Ryder Cups and the Olympics, sort of unique, settings, not the major settings. And Rory,
Rory's
very,
won
very...
FedEx Cups, too. He gets hot this time of year, too. It might be time.
That's what I'm saying. Great stuff as always, Brady. Look forward to talking football a little bit
I'll see you out
next
here
weekend.
soon, right?
Yeah, sir. In less than 2 weeks' time.
All right.
I'm coming for the 11 million.
What a chance it is for Adam Paxton and Victor Tingsham to pick up their first weekly titles. Adam Paxton, well, it's been the dream debut so far for him. For Victor Tingsham, he'll feel like this is a moment a little while coming. A place in the final up for grabs for one.
You can do it. Make that double 18 away from a place in the final.
Wesley Plaisir was beaten, knocked out by Mike Warburton in a last leg decider.
That is what they are playing for. They are playing for the trophy. They are playing for the big prize pot, and they are playing for a place in the £25,000 Champions Week.
97.
There is a point you feel that reality will surely kick in for Adam Paxton. He's here on debut. He watches the Super Series almost every single week. He was happy just to be playing in a group. This could be the leg that we talk about at the end of the night as being the one that changed the final, because Adam Paxton has just gone cold at the moment.
Bang on,
He doesn't just get two, he gets the lot.
Adam should take up the 16 out. If not, Mike's just behind him.
Shot of the fifth leg.
Can Paxton deliver one of the biggest moments of his career so far? He can. Double 12. What a moment that is from Adam Paxton. Mike Warburton was looking at 60 to win the match.
14.
Paxton, here's your moment. He approaches the jockey with confidence, with time, and delivers. Adam Paxton on debut. The boy, the fanboy, comes to the Super Series and wins.
This is SportsRage. The Wicked Wednesday continues. I am Morency. Thanks to Brady Cannon for joining us on the show. And we'll see Brady in less than 2 weeks' time as the excitement and the anticipation for the Circa Survivor continues to build. Very similarly to the pot, we had Vegas Matty on, best proxy in the business, on with us the other night. And he said, word on the street is we could get to $11 million in total. In the Survivor when it's all said and done. Now, we know Paul Bovey's going to have a piece of this. How many pieces will he have is another question. Paul Bovey steps up for him. What's going on, Paul?
I don't know, Gabe. That's 11 million. You got quite a field there. And Brady, I respect him a lot, but going in with 3 picks, that's going to be tough because these guys come in with 10, 15 if they're coming in under another entity. They have a distinct advantage. But you can't blame them because with the pot size that gargantuan, you got to give it your best. And the way to do that sometimes is to just load up on these entries and take a shot. Like we discussed last week, Cincinnati will be a major play week 1, and that would eliminate probably half the field if New England were to somehow pull an upset.
I've been watching and listening to a lot about this stuff, and it's crazy. Like you said, I mean, some guys are just openly admitting, I've got 10 entries and my wife's got 10 entries, so they've got 20, not to mention the people that are. But let me ask you, Paul, so people are going to cut deals and stuff like that. If you did something like that, $11 million, that's something you got to put in writing. Like, you know what I mean? Like if you're a bunch of dudes in Vegas and handicappers, whether they know each other for years, and you're like, okay, if we win, we'll split. If I win, we'll split. You got to put that in writing before, Paul, when we're talking about $11 million. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, but of course, you never gave me the money in advance.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, imagine just the disputes. It's one thing. Okay. It's one thing. We were a team and we won $30K. No one's bolting. I'm just speaking out loud here. $11 million. What happened to Tony? Part of our team. What? Tony, we gave him the check. He cashed it last night. You know what I mean? You're watching Twitter and you see him with the novelty check, and he's right to the airport. It's a lot of money, $11 million.
Yeah, we all know life teaches us lessons, and when it comes to money, people change quickly. So every person has their price, and when you're dealing with $11 million, you've hit the bogey. I guarantee it's somewhere up the food chain. Yeah.
So the whole thing with this is, too, like you said, Paul, right? The guys that have the more picks is an advantage. I get it. But it's so vast, and at some point they're just sort of rolling the dice. I get it. So, or what are you saying? That if you're going to play 1 or 2 entries, you don't have a chance of winning? Because really, ultimately, it's like a 20-game run here, right? I mean, they do the holiday games and stuff, which that's tricky. That's what makes it difficult, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. You have to position yourself for that, knowing that
you have to save those teams.
You have to save those teams. It gets really sketchy at the end, and sometimes it's called instant gratification. You want to win now, but you eliminate your possibility of winning later. So you do have to look at the schedule. You have to look out. It's a different contest in that you have those holiday games that you have to position yourself for.
The late, great Dave Malinsky, I asked him. He lived right across the street from the Hilton, Westgate, H, whatever, the different names over the years. He lived on a golf course. And I remember I met him once on like a Saturday morning. I was putting my picks in for the contest. Like I used to see you in the mornings there. So I was putting my picks in, and he came over, and I said, Dave, how come you never enter this contest? And he goes, Gabriel, I've never liked 5 games on an NFL Sunday in my life. And so let me ask you, because I find as I get older, Paul, I have a harder time coming up with 5. So I almost don't want multiple teams in these contests because I'll be honest with you, Paul, in the past couple of years, sometimes I've had multiple teams. I'm part of other teams, and I end up with the same damn picks on all these teams. So it almost defeats the purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, well, when I saw you down there, occasionally I would be absolutely stumped at 3 teams. So I'd go to the squarest guy,
Me too. I'd be sitting there sometimes looking up, and I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, that guy. I want that guy. Okay. You go up to him. Hey, buddy, who do you like this
Who do you
week?
like? You like the Bears or the Eagles?
Yeah. Yeah. And I wait for the first guy to say, oh, yeah, they can't lose. Okay, you know which way to go. Okay, the 300-pound guy with the tank top, that's the guy you want to
get. Paul, this is real contest advice. So, but all kidding aside, what are you going to be? So you're just going to dip your beak in all of them a little bit and just swing for the fences? You got the Survivor, you got the Millions, and you got the Superbook.
I don't know. It's Travers weekend. I'll let you know on Monday or probably Sunday night. I'll have a better idea of how much cash.
How many entries you're going to get.
Yeah, how much cash
I like the honesty.
Yeah.
I like the honesty.
I'm not sure. I'm not quite sure how many I'll come in with. You know, and I may forge some partnerships, which obviously would up the ante here, but we'll see what happens. But I'll be involved. I just don't know how deep.
How much have you looked at week one of the NFL? Because I've started to, and, you know, you talked about the Cincinnati game. They're like 9.5-point favorites. There are a lot of sort of short-priced, like put it this way, from a Survivor perspective, like you said, everyone's going to be on the Bengals. The Squares will. The Shark, you know, guys with a million picks will try to get cute and stuff and take Baltimore or something. But as far as just, you know, forget the contest, from a betting perspective, when you look at week one of the NFL, me personally, when I look at it, I'm like, I'll come back to this. I got college to look at right now. Like the college games, Paul, they're jumping off. They're punching me in the face off the screen, Paul. And no Houston Cougar plays either. They're like, they're jumping off the, they're jumping. I'm like, oh, I like that. I like these guys. They're going to kill them. They're going to cover the spread. I like that underdog. I like that over. NFL football, I look at week one. I'm like, I don't know how the hell I'm going to come up with 5 picks. More on the other side.
What a chance it is for Adam Paxton and Victor Tingsham to pick up their first weekly titles. Adam Paxton, well, it's been the dream debut so far for him. For Victor Tingsham, he'll feel like this is a moment a little while coming. A place in the final up for grabs for one.
You can do it. Make that double 18 away for a place in the final.
Wesley Plaisir was beaten, knocked out by Mike Warburton in a last leg decider.
Play. That is what they are playing for. They are playing for the trophy. They are playing for the big prize pot, and they are playing for a place in the £25,000 Champions Week.
97.
There is a point you feel that reality will surely kick in for Adam Paxton. He's here on debut. He watches the Super Series almost every single week. He was happy just to be playing in a group. This could be the leg that we talk about at the end of the night as being the one that changed the final, because Adam Paxton has just gone cold at the moment.
Bang on cue.
He doesn't just get 2, he gets the lot.
Adam should take out the 16 out. If not, Mike's just behind him.
Shot on the 5th leg.
Can Paxton deliver one of the biggest moments of his career so far? He can. Double 12. What a moment that is from Adam Paxton. Mike Warburton was looking at 60 to win the match. Paxton, here's your moment. He approaches the hockey with confidence, with time, and delivers. Adam Paxton on debut. The boy, the fanboy, comes to the Super Series and wins.
All right, we'll get into some NFL preseason with Paul, and we'll get his thoughts if this under party just continues, because it's been awesome for those of us who have been betting on the NFL preseason. But as far as week one is concerned, Paul, I know it sounds crazy to say, but you also have to remember that not everybody is as sharp. Not everybody's a professional gambler tuning in. You get people, you know, so they're going to be betting week one of the NFL, right? Whether the best numbers are gone or not. But are you of the belief that the carcass has already been picked in week one of the NFL?
Well, as you just said, you're looking at college. I'm looking at winning today. I'm not looking at week one just yet because there are preseason games on tap coming up this weekend. And that's where your major advantage is on the preseason. Week one is tough. A couple of years ago, I think it was Circa's inaugural year, maybe the second, my partner and I finished 20th, tied for 20th. We didn't get paid, and we went 1-4 in week one. Week one's the toughest week, and we were able to overcome it. Unfortunately, 20th now gets you a nice check, but we didn't benefit by that a few years ago. But I'll be looking at preseason, 1 or 2 games. I was off last week. I had the Chargers, Easton Stick, couple untimely turnovers. Perez was absolutely god-awful. I think he threw, 18 or 20 passes, had like 78 yards. And somehow the Rams came up with their second win of the preseason, which is totally uncharacteristic of a Sean McVay team.
So what do you think about the final week of preseason play here? Like you said, there's been a couple of untraditional teams that have been winning in the preseason this year. I've been cashing with the Cowboys. It was ridiculous the Raiders were laying that many points to the Pokes last week. And, you see the Cowboys, their kicker, their backup kicker drills a 66-yard field goal. McCarthy sort of lets them have fun. Trey Lance on the field. You got Cooper Rush. So from a preseason perspective, the Cowboys have actually been pretty good. They're 3.5-point favorites against the Chargers this week in Dallas. We got some of these sort of inner city battles as well, or interstate battles. And, you got the Giants and the Jets game this week as well. The 49ers and the Raiders, the Buccaneers and the and the Dolphins. Some of these so-called preseason rivalry games this week. Paul, what catches your eye?
So I'm going to go against the Rams again. McVay is 1-5 in the preseason, and in the games that he has lost, or the Rams have lost, they've been outscored 126-29 in the final week of the preseason, and that's what I was referring to when I made mention of the 1-5. They did beat the Houston Texans 22-10 a couple years ago, but McVay will not put Matt Stafford on the field. It's been all Stetson Bennett, who's been a turnover machine in these 2 games. I think he leads with 5 turnovers, but it could be Dresser Wynn, who I expected to see time last week, but it just didn't happen. But Sean McVay just does not care about the preseason. So I'm going to go with DeMeco Ryan, small sample size. They did prevail last year, 17-13 over New Orleans in the last final preseason game. So I'm going to look for the Texans to run it up, cover the 6. And by the way, C.J. Stroud did see the field last year in the final game. So I'm going with the Texans.
We've got 2 games tomorrow night. The Indianapolis Colts are 6.5-point favorites against the Cincinnati Bengals. The total's 34.5. If people didn't see the stories today, and, what a world we live in now, Paul, that, now we know what's said in a scrimmage between players, but everybody hears everything. Everything's picked up, and the Bengal players were like trash talking Anthony Richardson a lot. And then after basically said he sucks, right? And I'm thinking, you know what? Worry about your own team. You know what I'm saying? They're like, and they were, so the reports were the Bengals were chirping them, and the Bengal players were like asking the Colt players on the field, can your quarterback throw the ball or can he only run? And then they started asking him to his face. They were like, yo, kid, bro, this is the NFL. Can you throw the ball? Like they were sort of like they were on his, like they were just trash talking him. And they said after, oh, he's trash, this kid. He can't throw the ball. Right? And I'm thinking, you know what? Just mind your own business. You're not on the Colts. A bunch of dudes on the Bengals running their mouth. But the Colts are 6.5-point favorites in this game. We got Paul's thoughts on that. And sort of last night, our boy Sean Higgs was on the show, and I didn't realize this. He's getting a ton of hate online tonight after he said the Bears suck.